Good morning. A couple mornings ago, we talked about the swing plane and how it's an upward swing plane through contact, and how the hands drop down into the slot and then go up and forward. Today, we're going to talk about the first part of the swing. The people call it the load. They say load and stride. I tend to call that whole period the recognition phase of the swing. Because when you're doing all this, the whole goal is to keep your eyes level, your head level, stride, and you're supposed to be, at this point in time, you're recognizing the pitch, what the pitch is. And so you got your load and your stride, if you want to call it that. You know, I've heard people call it the load and explosion phase, and there's so many names, but everybody knows what a load and stride is. So what we're going to talk about is when to start, when the foot gets down, how to recognize the pitch, or when to recognize the pitch, and all that. So I've asked some kids and I've talked to some people about, you know, when do you think your foot gets down when you're swinging? And I get a lot of answers that say, when the pitcher is releasing the ball, I get my foot down. And then I'm dumbfounded. I don't understand, and it leads me back to again thinking that as hitters we don't really know what we do, and I think we were all guilty of that, and I believe it's true. I don't think you know what you do until you're done, or until you go see it on video. I think either you might be really good at it, so you can just do it. You don't even know how to break it down. And that's why people on the outside are helping you, and they're not trying to tell you that you're wrong or you're doing something wrong, but they can see better, more objectively. So, you know, listen to people when they talk about you like that. But so when the foot gets down when the ball is roughly halfway to 3/4 of the way to the plate. Now, when the foot gets down is one thing, but usually people land on the toe, and then their heel hits, and the heel is what triggers the swing. So when to start your load, that's totally up to you. It's totally based on the pitcher, his speed through the windup, his fastball velocity, how high his knee comes up, how long it takes him to get there. Is he like some of the who would it be? Dice K, who pauses up top. Is he like that? So it's not universal for every pitcher. You got to adjust it, and if a guy's in the stretch, you have to adjust again. So you really got to watch the game. You got to take notes mentally on when to start, and when to start when he's in the stretch, when to start in the windup, and when a reliever comes in, your timing won't be the exact same. So you start your load, and then this whole time you're trying to stay nice and quiet. When I say quiet, that means your head's not up and down. You're just here. Your eyes you don't ever want your eyes to go this way too much or too violently. You want to stay nice and still so you can see and recognize what's going on with the pitcher. And then, so you're in your load, the pitcher's going through his motion, he comes out, ball comes out, and now your foot's still in the air. You know, you have your double tap guys, you have your knee to knee guys, you have your long stride guys, that's fine. But the whole time their foot's in the air. And what I say is that you know you are swinging before your foot comes down. When your foot comes down, when your heel hits the ground, when your foot hits the ground, it's swing or stop. And that's why you see guys who hit the ground and they don't even offer a pitch. Now, check swing, guys got fooled. They didn't see the ball correctly. Maybe they were moving too much. Maybe they picked it up too late. Maybe they didn't find the pitcher's arm slot, you know, and they didn't see the ball from here. They saw the ball after it was released from the hand, and that's what's causing them to check swing. They get their foot down and they don't quite know the pitch. They don't understand it. They don't see what it was. So they check swing. Now, if you can keep your head still, find the arm slot, everything's perfect, you get your foot down, and then it's swing. You know, and you put your best swing on the ball. But that's what we're gonna, you know, I want you to think about that. I want you to think about when to get started. You gotta watch the pitcher. You gotta watch every pitcher. When do I start so I can get my foot down? You know, that way when you step in the batter's box and you have a visual cue of where the pitcher's at and where you start. So if you know, hey, it's when he breaks his hands, that's when you go to get your foot down. You don't have to think anymore. It's you sit in the box, you see, and then you go. You know your speed doesn't change. So those little visual cues to get started in order to get your foot down in time. Everybody always talks about getting your foot down in time. Well, there's more. You got to talk about the first part. When do I start to get my foot down in time? You know, we can't skip steps. So you gotta have a visual cue from the pitcher in order to get your load started or your recognition phase, your swing started, and then that just leads into your stride, and then your stride, the momentum you gain from your stride carries right into your swing. Next time we'll talk about stride and momentum a little more, and go into the way the swing works as you stride and then what happens. A lot of people I hear talk about stride, stop, or they practice a stride really early, stop, and then get started. It's not going to work, and we'll talk about that later in further detail. But for now, it's all about a visual cue to get yourself started in order to recognize the pitch and then get your foot down in time. If we're always worried about getting our foot down in time, we have to worry about what we got to do that. Thanks, guys. Have a great day.